Hello and welcome to day number 62. My name is Mary and today's story title is The Land East of Jordan. While the Israelites were in their camp on the plain beside the river Jordan, God told Moses to count the number of men who were old enough and strong enough to go to war. Moses had all the men over 20 counted and found three were a little more than 600,000 fighting age men, plus the women and children. Among them all, only 3 men were over 60 years of age, men who had been more than 20 years old 40 years ago when the Israelites came out of Egypt, the men who had been afraid to enter the land of Canaan. The first time had all died. Some of them had been slain in war. Some had died in the wilderness during the 40 years. Some had perished by the plague. Some had been bitten by the fiery serpents. Of all those who had come out of Egypt as men, the only ones still living were Moses, Joshua, and Caleb. Moses was now 120 years. He had lived 40 years as a prince in Egypt, 40 years as a shepherd in Midian, and 40 years as the leader of Israel in the wilderness. But although he was very old, God had kept Moses strong. His eyes were bright, his mind was clear, and his arms and heart were just as strong as they had been when he was a young man. The people of Israel now owned all the land on the east of the river Jordan, from the brook Ammon up Arnon up to Mount Hermon. Much of this land was good for pasture. The grass was green and rich, and there were many streams of water. There were 2 of the 12 tribes and half of another tribe who had great flocks of sheep and goats and herds of cattle. These were the tribes descended from Reuben and Gad, the sons of Jacob, and half of the tribe of Manasseh, the son of Joseph. The men of Reuben, Gad, and half the men of Manasseh came to Moses and said, "The land on this side of the river is good for the feeding of sheep and cattle, and we are shepherds and herdsmen. Can't we have our land on the side of the river and give all the land beyond the river to our brothers of the other tribes?" Moses was not pleased at this. He thought these men wanted to have their land at once in order to avoid going to war. And this may have been in their minds. So Moses said to them, "Shall your brothers of the other tribes go to the war? And shall you sit here in your own land and not help them? That would be wicked and would displease the Lord your God. Then the men of the 2 tribes and the half tribe came again to Moses and said to him, "We will build sheepfolds here for our sheep, and we will choose some cities to place our wives and our children in. But we ourselves will go armed with our brothers of the other tribes and will help them take the land on the other side of the Jordan. We will not come back to this side of the river until the war is over, and our brothers have taken their land. And we will take no part of the land on the other side of the river, because our place has been given to us here. When the land is all won and divided, we will come back here to our wives and children." Moses was satisfied with the promise they gave, and he divided the land on the east of the Jordan to these tribes. To the men of Reuben, he gave the land on the south. To the men of Gad, the land in the middle. And to the half tribe of Manasseh, he gave the land on the north, the country called Bashan. After their wives and children and flocks had been placed safely, the men came back to the camp, ready to go with the other tribes across the river when God called them. And that was the word of the Lord. Now we come to our regular discussion questions. Number 1, it says, why were some of the Israelites trying to stay across the river from the promised land? Number 2, what did Moses say to them? Number 3, what did they promise Moses? And that was the end of day number 62 questions. So I hope you have a little bit of time to do the discussion, and may God bless us all. See you soon again. Bye-bye now.